Hi, I'm Mike Carrier from Here We Go Highlands, and we are in the beautiful Hudson Library. Although really we're just in the just in a conference room of the Hudson Library, but we are here today to talk about Big Brothers Big Sisters. I'm not sure if it's Big Brothers Big Sisters of Highlands, Cashiers.
Sisters of Highlands.
Big Brothers Big Sisters of Highlands, and as you can see, we have a lot of people here that we're all going to talk about their experiences in the program and their experiences helping to run and facilitate the program. So I'm just going to let everybody go around and introduce themselves, and then we'll just go from there. So
Okay.
the floor is all yours.
I'm Elizabeth Spalding. I have been the program coordinator for Big Brothers Big Sisters of Cashiers and Highlands for the past couple of years.
I'm Ashlyn Parker. I'm a little for Big Brothers Big Sisters.
Oh, you're the little part of the Big Brothers Big Sisters?
Yes. She's a little
I'm
sister.
a
I was going to
little
say, you're
sister.
being a little hard on yourself.
I'm a little
He's
sister.
little, but I mean, I thought that was awkward. Okay, I got it. You're the little part. Okay.
Little.
Hi, my name is Kayla Parker. I'm a little for Big Brothers Big Sisters.
Little, and you're a little, and you're a little.
I'm Ricky. I'm Ricky Siegel. I'm the chair of the advisory council of Big Brothers Big Sisters of Highlands, and got Mike to do this little program to introduce people watching Facebook and television, talk a little bit about Big Brothers Big Sisters.
Right. So if you're watching on Highlands Cable Group, and we'll talk about it throughout the show, if you're watching on Highlands Cable Group and you have questions about Big Brothers Big Sisters, we'll talk about the contact information. But I didn't know a lot about Big Brother. I didn't even know there was a Big Brothers Big Sisters in Highlands, I think, until you mentioned it to me. So how did y'all get involved in Big Brothers Big Sisters?
Well, first she started it. Then I
4 years
did.
ago.
And then, so did you just contact Big Brothers Big Sisters, or what made you realize you needed a big brother or a big sister?
It actually happens like some people get offered, I guess, but I was like getting bullied and stuff like that
What?
when I was little. So I found a big, and we've been together for about 5 years
Almost
now.
5 years, yeah.
So do they come to you?
Well, it happens in a couple of different ways. Sometimes they are referred to us by the school, like a counselor or a teacher might say that there's an area where they could use some extra support.
And that's what
okay.
mine was.
So I think that at the time you were at Blue Ridge,
Yes.
they were living closer to Cashiers, so you were attending Blue Ridge,
Yes.
and either a teacher or a counselor contacted and said, that she could use some extra support, and maybe having a big would help to give her that boost that she could use to be more successful and to avoid those things that were really bogging her down.
Yeah.
So Big Brothers and Big Sisters, I always thought it was just for educational things. So it's for a plethora.
Yeah.
You like that
High
word?
vocabulary word.
You like
Yeah.
that?
Really.
I like to throw that one in there every show. But excuse me.
After the show, would you tell me what it means?
Yeah, yes, that's true. You should have wrote it on your hand, because I know that's how you like to do
One of
your
those
things.
things I do.
So it's for a litany,
Yeah.
another word,
Yeah.
of different issues that children may be dealing
Right.
with.
So we support them,
Excuse
with social emotional well-being, academically, really any kid that's struggling in a way that another caring, responsible, mature adult could help to boost them up, to give them, to work on social skills, for example, if that's an area where they're really struggling. And also we work with kids that are facing adversity of whatever type. But usually for our program, the priority goes to families that have single parents or are being raised by a different generation. So usually there's the absence of a parent. At least that's what the priority goes to. But it does not exclude other kids from being in the program. It's not just focused on that. But we want to make sure that we give adult support. And my job is to kind of oversee those and make sure that the matches are helpful and working towards goals that they need to help support them to be more successful, focus on what they're capable of, avoid risky behaviors, and really just to help them to expand their horizons, their interests, their aspirations.
And then how do the Big Brothers or Big Sisters get involved in the program?
So that's really a word of mouth thing. Like you were saying, you didn't know that it existed in this area, and a lot of times we don't have them. We're not fortunate enough to have them in small communities. But we do here in Highlands and in Cashiers, and so to have them in small communities where people normally think this is something for urban areas or more populated areas, but we have to do our job, due diligence, to spread the word. We do exist. We're here, and we are always in need of recruitment of both littles and bigs. We want to make sure that every kid that could use a mentor is enrolled into our program and being able to be matched with a mentor. But then there's also the flip side. We have to have mentors in order to match with the children. So mentors usually hear about it word of mouth. Our advisory council members will oftentimes say, hey, you'd be a great mentor. I was thinking about this. Let me tell you about the program. And a lot of times that's how we recruit. But yeah, we don't spend money on advertising or that kind of stuff in general. It's those that have come to the program usually just hear about it through the community and find that that's a volunteer opportunity that they want to give back in.
Now, what is your involvement? It seems like there'd be a large group of kids like at the schools. What is your involvement with the schools? Or is there an involvement with the schools?
We have over the years had a very, very good relationship with the schools, and we've got a lot of our littles from that school situation, and we're continuing to do that. The school has been a great source for us. We're trying to expand, even beyond the schools, because we have some homeschool children that sometimes don't get that kind of interaction that they'd like to have to further their growth and the expansion of their lives. Ashland has some very, very unique situations that she has gone through that have given back to her some things from Big Brothers Big Sisters, and I'd like her to say a little bit more about that.
Okay.
No pressure.
No pressure. For one, I do have juvenile epilepsy, and it really took a toll for me, and I was scared to do everything, honestly. Like, what if I had another episode and everything like that? With my big, I've actually grown from that, so I can do more things. I've done camp for 4 years now.
And that's overnight camp.
And that's like it's a week camp. And honestly, I didn't think I was scared to go for the first time.
Really?
But I mean, it is amazing.
Who is your big?
Liz Nichols.
Liz Nichols. Good job, Liz Nichols. Congratulations.
She's a wonderful big.
She is.
She should get credit for, and all the bigs should get credit because it's something that they put time, effort, and energy into just out of the kindness of their hearts, I would imagine.
Totally.
One of the coolest things is that they're more like family.
Yeah.
More time you get to know them and all like that.
And then how often do you meet and or spend time with them? You're waiting to say something, I could tell. You're like, I just want to get in on the conversation.
Not really.
You're like, look, I'll just sit here and go, oh, yeah. Good point. Well said.
Yeah. So most we've been doing like every month lately because she's moved further away. So we've gone together when she comes up here and does her work. But we talk on the phone and all like that and have fun, honestly.
Well, it sounds like you said, you probably developed this relationship that's at first a little awkward. You don't know her, she doesn't know you, and then as the weeks, months, years go by, and it's somebody you can always go to. I've always felt like, and I think the younger generation has an issue with this, but I always felt like if you have a mentor, like I know a guy grabbed me when I was in my 20s, and I think I was going down the wrong path, and he mentored me, and you can learn so much from the people that have gone before you, but you have to be willing to accept the fact that you don't know everything. I think the younger generations are more apt to, in my opinion. Sorry, this isn't a public service announcement or anything, but it's good to have a mentor. It's good to listen to other people. There are people that have other experiences that can help you out, and Big Brothers Big Sisters sounds like it's a perfect example of those that have been through things or are older or more mature helping the younger generation.
Mike, when you hear these stories about Big Brothers Big Sisters, and you talk to somebody who's been a big, so often their relationship goes into way later into their lives. In other words, there's an official end to the Big Brothers Big Sisters relationship as far as our organization is concerned, but that doesn't end their relationship. They go on for years and years and years, and I can tell you countless stories of those instances, and that's really, really heartwarming. They form a relationship that goes on
for a lifetime, hopefully.
I'm sure it does.
Make a lasting connection that is sustained for outside of the program as well.
I'm sure you go from big brother or big sister to friend to almost quasi family. I mean,
Yeah.
and it isn't like you do it for 3 months and then you say, okay, good luck. I've done all I can, and I wish you well. I mean, you're gonna take what you've learned from that experience and help the next generation.
Right.
Right? Don't you think? Okay, good.
No graduation certificate here.
Is there a typical, like when you match up a big brother or sister with a little,
Little.
you know,
Little.
I don't know if that's a politically correct word
correct.
anymore, but anyway, a little.
Correct in our program.
It is, yeah.
How is it a typical term? Like, is there?
Sure. So the commitment on both the family and the mentors part is 1 year. So everybody signs up for this 1 year of trying to build a relationship and a foundation for their match. Within that time, I oversee it and speak with all the parties monthly,
Every month, yeah.
just to kind of see what their activities have been, make sure everything's safe and going well, and where we can support it to be more successful. After that year, we evaluate it and say, how did we do this year? You know, what kind of things were reached? What were our goals? Did we come close to reaching them? Do we have more we want to work on? Are we all happy to stay in the match? Because our research that we do annually shows that the longer a match is together, the more successful they are, the more avoidance of risky behaviors, the higher aspirations, the more self-confidence that they have, all these things that are so great that come from the program. So the longer they're together, the better the outcome.
Yeah.
So as long as it's mutually beneficial and everybody is happy in the match, we continue on as long as we can. Kids stay in the program. They can be matched from age 6. So anytime between age 6 to age 15, we match children, but they can stay in the program until 18 or they graduate high school. So at that point, then we close the match as an official Big Brothers, Big Sisters thing. But that definitely does not mean that the match ends as far as like their relationship or their connection or, you know, communication. It's just we're no longer a third party in it. We just take ourselves out.
How did you get involved in Big Brothers Big Sisters?
Well, I worked indirectly with it for many years. I was a public school teacher in Athens, Georgia, and as I taught second grade, I had kids that had bigs. Some of my students, especially boys, I had 2 boys that had both had their own big, and they would come to school and spend time with them. And so in that part, I learned a lot about it because I saw firsthand all these benefits that these children were experiencing, and I loved them so dearly. And for them to have a male figure that chose to be in their lives when the male figure who you would expect to be in their lives had left for one reason or another, it was just like, you know, it made such a profound impact. And so I knew about it just from being a school teacher. But then when I came here, learned about the programs being here, and I joined the board for Big Brothers Big Sisters of Highlands. And that program coordinator quit at a certain point. You know, there was a changeover, and that was kind of like how I got to learn about the programs. And I started with Cashiers first, and then took over the Highlands program as well.
And then how did you get involved in the program, young man?
Well, this goes back to 2001.
Really?
And I was involved in Leadership Highlands, which is a program that's been going on here since 2000, and I went through that program. And the purpose of the program, it's to take people of the community
Excuse me.
and give them a wider knowledge of the community. We had a culture day, we had a health day, we had law enforcement day, government day, and you kind of look at the community as a whole, and you kind of see things where you might be involved in volunteerism. And I looked around and I saw a lot of programs for children, young people, who had advantages and other things that I saw a lack of things for kids that were maybe less advantaged and maybe had a need for something. So I contacted the Big Brothers Big Sisters in Asheville and started working with them, and we created the program here in Highlands. We served our first kids in 2002,
Oh, wow.
and I've stayed with the program.
Y'all did a background check though, right?
Yeah.
I just want to make sure that Ricky got background checked. I mean, I'm not saying that for any
I get
reason
it,
in
I get it,
particular,
I get it.
but Big Brothers Big Sisters has been around forever,
Since
really?
2000
No,
Well,
I mean like
No,
the-
1904.
yeah.
It's the oldest mentoring program in the country.
One-on-one mentoring.
But it used to be bigger, right? Has it tailed off in the like I used to hear about it all the time, I think, when I was younger, but I haven't heard about it.
Well, because you're not a kid anymore.
I am compared to you.
Seriously. No, that's true. But
But you usually hear about big brothers, big sisters. I hear about it with athletes, I guess. Are they involved?
I couldn't address that, but what I would say is you had your kids were homeschooled and they were really doing well,
Right.
and that area never became something that you might be involved with that you could see a need for. But the program wanes, goes up and down, and I think the reason for that is in the lives of folks, sometimes things are smoother, and you may have a group of children all at the same time that may need more of that, and sometimes it's less. But we've seen an increase in the needs over the last, I'd say, couple of years.
What about the big brothers, big sisters? Have you seen an increase or a decrease in those
I think
volunteers?
that with getting our word out and kind of resurrecting this program, people have all of a sudden said, oh, well, I didn't know that there was a need for it, and so kind of reaching people through, playing to the emotions of what this program does and how it really truly makes an impact on your community. This is one child at a time that you're helping to transform their life in a very positive way, and that leaves a legacy of a contribution to our world,
Yeah, you're changing a life. You're
Right.
making a difference. Did you do with Eileen used to run the community centers in Orlando. Did they have big brothers, big sisters?
That organization, but Boys and Girls Club was
Yep.
a partner in some of our community centers. But not, I just remember commercials on TV.
Right.
It used
And
to
they
be
still
big
run
in
them.
the
They still
80s
run
and
them.
90s.
Well, now we'll have one
Yeah,
on
nationally they run
Nationally,
them.
they run them.
Yeah.
They run
Do they?
them from time to time, yeah.
Well, now we're going to have this commercial on Highlands Cable Group. Actually, after we do the interview, maybe we'll do a little commercial, and then we can keep that running on there all the time.
And before I let this part of your little show in, I want to mention
My
one
little
thing.
show.
Wow, excuse
Isn't
me.
he mean to me?
This
Is he a mentor?
And the
Thank
star of our
goodness.
show is
Thank
Mark
goodness he's not a
Carey.
mentor.
If you talk to some of the bigs who have been involved in this program for 1, 2, 3 years, as the years go by, you get a sense of the impact it has on them, what they are giving back to someone,
Yeah.
and the feeling, the attachment they have for the little. That's an amazing piece of the puzzle. I love to repeat and put out there.
It's probably one of those things where you think going into it that you're going to help the littles,
Right.
and by the end you probably realize
You're exactly
you've helped yourself.
Yeah.
You're exactly right.
You've grown as an individual, which that's what the world should. I've often thought if the people that have helped the people that don't have as much, the world would be a much better place.
If I could grow from 5'5" to 5'6.5", man, what a
I'm
Wouldn't that would
I'm
be?
not in the medical field, but I'm almost certain that your growth spurt is over. If you're still waiting to hit your growth spurt, you're probably in trouble. All right, what would you like to say? Because I know there's a few things you've had on your mind.
I like my big sister.
You like
Her
your big
name is
sister?
Pam.
Pam, and so you've been in the program for,
About 5 years.
and you've been in the program
For about 6
6
months.
because you saw the benefit that she got out of it, and you said, "Well, I want to be a part of that."
Yep.
That's how
And,
it works.
and what other things, Kayla, made you and your mom think that maybe you would benefit from it?
Because I have POTS. It's where if I get up too fast, I will pass out.
Really? Wow.
So, and I was scared, like Ash and I was scared to do things because of it.
Mm-hmm.
But my mom saw Big Brothers Big Sisters because Ashton was doing it. She thought might be good for me.
Mm-hmm.
So
And your
she,
anxiety, it made it less.
Well, she probably saw the self-confidence and what that you were gaining out of the program, and said it'd probably be a good fit for you. I mean, it's nothing. I mean, it's only positives,
It is.
right? I mean,
Honestly.
it sounds like it's really a program to help with younger people's self-confidence.
Totally.
It's not like, for some reason, when I used to think of Big Brothers Big Sisters, I thought of tutoring.
Yeah, I know.
No.
I'm just saying, sorry.
No,
that's
I
just
think a lot of people.
that's
though,
what I think
especially-
of.
Yeah.
And I'm
Glad
like,
you brought that up.
What are some of the activities that you might do with your big sister? Like, just name a couple things.
A lot of things. Now we could go places and do new things.
Tell them about what you guys did last on your last outing.
Well, we went to her friend's farm, and we got to see miniature donkeys. And we get to go places, and they have a llama hike.
Yeah, they've got llamas.
Yeah.
We got
Really?
llamas.
We went on a
We
llama
went-
hike down in Highlands.
We get to go on llama hikes with our big.
And so we do some group activities. We try to do quarterly group activities where we get the whole group
Oh,
together
that's
and
nice.
do something fun. Llama hikes are always a fun thing
Aquarium.
that we do at
We
least
went-
twice a year.
Llama hikes.
No, we went to the aquarium, and
The Georgia
It was-
Aquarium.
Georgia
it
Aquarium.
was
And we went
separate.
to
They went to a different aquarium.
Yeah, the Cashiers program went to the Tennessee Aquarium. The
Oh.
Highlands program went to the Georgia Aquarium. And that was awesome. They sat in the soak zone at the dolphin show.
And
She got splashed.
now, I was with her kids because they wanted to get splashed, but
Your
they
actual
said
kids?
10
My actual
rows,
kids,
Yeah.
and they sat in the 6th row.
They got wet.
Everyone
And
got
we
soaked.
were soaking wet, like as if we had
Was
just.
it what was making the waves?
The dolphins.
They
They
come
were
up to
dolphins?
the edge and they flap their tail, and we were just assaulted with the
Uh-huh.
water. Like I'm talking, like they didn't move;
No.
they just kept splashing us.
Now,
I mean,
couldn't wipe your eyes if you got salt water in your eyes because your hands
Oh,
are soaked,
yeah,
and you
that's
couldn't
true.
wipe it with your shirt
were
because
soaked.
Then you were soaked for the rest
water
of the day.
squelching out of their shoes with every step.
Yep.
I would bet
soaked.
that I would bet with Big Brothers Big Sisters, and I think a lot of people, when you're living your normal life and you have kids, you take things for granted, right? And you don't realize that there's kids and families out there that what you are as fortunate and blessed to do on a normal basis, not everybody is.
Right.
And it sounds like part of this program is taking children and allowing them to experience those things
So
and
al-
gain self-confidence.
Yeah, so often the reason or the rationale for mentors joining our efforts is that they say, I was really fortunate to have a very good life, and I would like to give back to somebody who maybe has not had that same, background or experience.
Opportunities.
And so a lot of times it's that they want to be there for somebody who hasn't been as fortunate as they have.
Right.
And investing in a child will pay in huge dividends, like changing what our world looks like by just helping them to be successful and contributing members of our community.
Man, just one child at a time.
Right.
Now, how many kids participate in the program in this area?
So in Highlands right now we have 9 matches.
Right.
When I came into this program about a year ago for the Highlands, we had 3 at the time, and so we have grown over this past year, and
Well, that's good.
and that has been a very positive thing. We're looking to at least double what we've currently got, so we're still trying to reach kind of where we feel like we're really hitting the level that we feel exists here,
Right.
or closer to it at least.
So you need the kids. You need the kids to come to you to
Right.
tell you that they're looking for a
Right.
big brother, big sister, or mentor, and you also need the mentors to come to you that say, "I'm willing to." So you probably have right now more mentors that are willing to
Right.
help than children,
We do.
and a lot of it is probably education. People don't know that they can go to Big Brothers Big Sisters. How did y'all find out about Big Brothers Big Sisters?
Have my mom.
Your mom?
I don't-
Is that what happened? I mean,
I think the school.
the
I
school
think the school probably
probably-
referred or sent home at least an information. It's usually a
Yeah.
very non-invasive way of
Right.
kind of telling people, because a lot of times the families might feel like judged, like. You think my kid needs some other adult? Like, why am I not good enough? There
see
has
that.
been, so sometimes there's the stigma or there's the pride that's attached to it, like, but maybe we don't, we're doing fine kind of thing. When it's not about that at all. It's not about what the family's not doing well. It's about adding in something to help even more. It's, and so sometimes the school will send home with those families or the kids that they feel like might be interested or would benefit from the program. And from that, if a family, it's a buy-in process. The family has to be just as invested as the mentor and just as invested as the kid. It doesn't work if not all parties say, yeah, this sounds like a really great thing.
right.
So, we don't get every kid that gets things sent home, but it's open to any child
Everybody.
who is struggling in any facet of their life, really.
But I think that what you said is a good point, and I was thinking it while you were saying it, which was good for me because I actually held it in instead of saying it while you were talking, because I usually do that. But there is probably a stigma of, I got this.
Right.
I don't need anybody else's help. And credit to your parents and other parents of people that are in the program who say, you know what, I could use some help in these areas. Because I think we're a very prideful community. We're people are very prideful, especially as the years go on. Nobody really wants to admit, I find, that they need help. Like, who wants to? So that's a big step for the parents to say, I would appreciate some help.
Well, oftentimes, the teacher will recognize something. The teacher in the school will recognize something. It could be a great family,
Absolutely.
but there's always that next
There
little
is.
thing that could be added in. The school counselor can notice things in conversations with students or with teachers. The teacher might say something to the counselor that this child could use something to help them communicate better.
Yeah.
Clergy, the spiritual area of our community sees things, and yes, you do have to. Then the parent has to be approached and thought through the whole process and say,
Right.
this is something I want to do or something I don't. But it comes to us in a lot of different ways,
Sure it does.
and that's a good thing.
It is. And I think it's just talking about this, to me, it's like a more formalized, like, I feel fortunate and blessed that we have a lot of good friends, and they talk to our kids. They give them advice. I'm fine with the way they talk to our kids about certain
Right.
things. It's kind of that formalized,
Right.
It's getting the advice or help or guidance of other people. I mean, our kids talk to other adults of ours about things, and they get advice or guidance, and we're fine with that because we know them. It's really for, that's what it sounds like to me.
It's another support system.
It's another support system. So it's not a symptom or signal of a weakness
Right.
or something it's
that's wrong.
enhancing
Right.
or
Totally.
helping. And I think, like you said, and you used the word stigma, that's probably a good word.
Right.
It's a stigma of, I don't need that
Right.
help.
Right.
But everybody needs help.
Right. Totally.
I mean,
And what would be the weekly or monthly commitment from a big?
So they would get together twice a month is what our guidelines are, and usually that's for community based. We have two types of programs. We have community and we have site based. For the community based, they would get together twice a month, and usually the outings are anywhere from 2 hours to 4, maybe. That's probably an average, depending on what they're doing. Going out to a farm where they're driving out into the location and spending time doing a task there, and then coming back or having a meal. That's usually what it entails, is some kind of broadening experience. A meal is often shared together, and then they're brought back home. So it would take 4 to 10 hours a month, essentially, of a big's time. For site-based, they would meet at a designated time every single week for 1 hour, and that would be at a site where I would oversee and be there as the point person while they're meeting and playing games and interacting and doing things. So that would be on a scheduled, regularly occurring basis for 1 hour each week.
And you have both going on in Highlands?
We don't have anybody active in site-based. Most people choose to do community-based because it's so much more flexible, and it allows you to really invest in what your common interests are, because it's not a cookie-cutter program. I don't say I have male A, I have boy A, we'll just put them together. We'd really want to find somebody who would connect with Mike, for example, on his interest levels, whether he's into certain sports,
Poor kid.
or his sense of humor that would be really well played with another with a child in the program. So we would find there would be some rationale for putting them together other than just that they are both male. Because in order to make a sustaining match, you really have to have some foundation that's already inherently there.
Sure.
And so we don't have anybody that's currently site-based, but we have the program available for anybody that maybe not be. A lot of times the mentors, if they're grandparents in our area or things like that, they have been out of the realm of one-on-one time with children for a long time. They've raised their kids long ago, and so a lot of times those mentors have asked to start as site-based and just to have some while they're getting to know and building a rapport with the children, to have someone else there and to feel comfortable. And once there's trust built on both sides, then they after 6 months they could switch to community-based. But a lot of times people wait until the end of the school year, and then they would switch because they won't be able to see each other during the summer. So once the site-based matches stop, they follow the school year.
Oh, and then just
So-
go on that calendar.
Yeah, right. Right.
Now, what would your advice be to any child that feels like maybe this is something that makes sense to them? Any advice? Any thoughts?
It changes your life, honestly.
See, that's crazy. Like to
is.
say that. Like it's an amazing thing to be able to say it. How many things
changes.
can you do or be involved in that actually changes your life?
Yeah.
And it's just not writing a check and here's
Exactly.
$100. I mean, that's easy. I mean, especially for Ricky. I mean, but
Absolutely.
but I'm just saying. I mean, and so for the amount of time that you can invest as an adult to change somebody's life, that's what life's all about, I would think.
I think it's given back in the truest form. You know, it's real easy to just donate money and feel like you're doing your part, and that is always beneficial because
Yeah.
we can't run without money either. I mean, we have to have that aspect as well. But the salt of the earth, committed people that have invested their time as mentors in our program and given a lot of their emotional energy as well as their time to that one individual child have made an enormous impact in our community and with that child specifically.
There's a reason this program has been around for 112 years. It works. And
That's
you
true.
talk about all
Yeah.
the different things that we've talked about, but there's quantitative proof of what this program can do in terms of better grades, better relationship with peers, better relationship with parents.
Self-esteem,
Self-esteem,
confidence.
all of those
I would
things.
imagine those are some of the big things that you've
The
gotten out
biggies.
of it.
The
Yeah.
biggies.
Well, and a lot of times there's things that, you know, you're entering into a relationship with somebody who is coming from a different standpoint in life, a different background, a different age, and often with that comes different values and things that are a child is able to then see them through a way that's not being forced upon them,
Right.
but is able to then reflect on things coming from a different perspective, like, oh, well, my big, you know, would probably do this in this
Right.
situation, and it kind of gives them a lot to think about as far as, you know, ways of handling problems or thinking about their future and things like that. We do a survey with our kids every year to kind of assess their thoughts on various things, school being one of them, you know, risky behaviors and those kind of things, kind of so we can keep a gauge for how we're making an impact perhaps. And I marvel when I look back at a year before for some of my kids who said, how likely do you think you would go to finish high school, for example? And it'd be like, sort of sure. To then being extremely sure that I would finish high school. How sure are you that you go to college? Not sure at all. To then being very likely. You know, these kind of things are like a change in thinking just because they see then a different picture than what has been presented to them just because of family background perhaps or whatever. And so they take on what they're capable of and think about things, you know, kids that are really interested, we call them sparks in our program, but whatever their spark is, whether it be something in the arts or a sport or whatever, channeling their talents that are naturally there and helping them to discover things that they enjoy, that they excel at, and that they could then put towards a future, you know, whether it be something with art or going a profession that would follow their interests, not just thinking, well, I'll probably, you know, be a landscaper because that's what my dad does,
Right.
and that's what I know and I'm comfortable with. But when you love math, for example, I have a kid in our program who is a math whiz, genius, you know, has excelled and exempted out of higher math courses, is now a sophomore taking, you know, college level courses and that kind of stuff. And now he's thinking about, oh, there are careers that I could use my
In that
love and
program.
my skill in math that like are not landscaping, and that's okay too.
Right.
Like, you know, and so it just changes the trajectory of a child's life when they see that there are things that they like and are capable of, and that there are other steps to take that would lead them to a path that might be different.
And I think that we talk about this, like you feel like, well, like your example, if your family's in landscaping, like that's your normal.
That's normal,
That's your
yeah.
normal.
And there's nothing
it makes,
wrong with it.
And there isn't, but it makes you realize there's other normals. Is there something I said wrong? She left. But there's other normals. There's other things. You learn that there's different things out there, and one of those paths may be your path that you would have never got exposure to
Right.
if you just stayed on this one path.
It just makes the world bigger for
It
them.
does.
To them to choose from. If you want to do landscape, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. That's fine. But there are other choices
Right.
if you desire them. But you have to be exposed to other things in order to know what else exists in our big picture.
Right.
We
Now,
get motivated to bigger things.
right.
Yeah.
Because you get exposure to it.
Right.
Now, what are you guys going to do when you're Ricky's age? Well, you'll probably be retired by now. But when you're our age, when you're our age. What do you
wanna do when you
if you
grow
had
up?
to guess, what would you like to do when you grow up? I'll ask you the same question too.
Ask her first.
Okay. Maybe being a cosplayer or actor.
Really? Wow, I like that one.
A
Did he tell you to say that?
No.
I know
Okay.
exactly what you're going to
Okay.
say.
A marine biologist.
And she would be awesome at it. Kayla
A
retains
marine
like
biologist.
she told us more at the aquarium than they even have on the little,
Yeah.
write-ups that are next
Were
to
you like,
the-
that's nothing? Listen to this.
I mean,
blah,
Kayla
blah, blah,
retains a
blah,
lot of information that has to do with marine life and is very knowledgeable and very interested. So I could totally see you doing
blah.
that.
See, I've always felt. Oh, go ahead.
I mean, she loves animals.
See,
And
that's a
it's
good
one
thing for
passion
you.
that she loves.
I've always felt if you could match your passion with your career, you've hit the jackpot.
Absolutely.
Because then it doesn't feel
Totally.
like work. It feels like you're
Exactly.
just
Having
having fun. Well, how do people contact Big Brothers Big Sisters?
So they can get in touch with me by emailing me at highlands@bbbswnc.org, which stands for Big Brothers Big Sisters Western North Carolina. That's what the letters are.
Got
for.
it.
Or can call me. My number is 904-206-3525. So either way, I oversee both Highlands and Cashiers. So if it's somebody who lives in between or in one of those areas, I would be both. My Cashiers email is cashiers@bbbs.
Oh, see, that's easy to remember.
But they both go to the same account because
They
I
both
have them
go.
now linked up to where they
Hook up.
both let me know when
People
when
are
they've come
emailing.
through.
So if you live in the area and you're a parent of a child who thinks that Big Brothers Big Sisters may be something that you're interested in, your child could benefit from, or if you're an adult and you'd like to be a mentor or Big Brother Big Sister, contact Miss Elizabeth over here at any of those any of those addresses or phone numbers. Mr. Siegel, anything
Yes,
you'd
sir.
like to say?
No, Mike, but I appreciate you bringing this little group together to share some of the information about Big Brothers Big Sisters. I think it's a program that we have a passion for.
Sure.
I mean, obviously we do. And when we see people that come into the program, that passion grows. But I thank you for this, and look forward to doing
It's
it
always
again.
anytime I can spend time with you, it's
Of
worth
course.
it. And these lovely ladies.
Yeah.
You did say too much today, though. You want to go into commentating. When we were all talking, we were like, don't ask me a question, don't ask me a question. Don't ask me a question. Were you? But then I asked you a question, you did great. See, look, smile, let me see your teeth. There you go. There you go. Well, thank you for watching. Thank you for watching on Highlands Cable Group. If you have any questions, you've got all the contact information. Check us out at the video. Will also be at Here We Go Highlands. I'll probably also put it on the mikeanddooley.com website. Anything else from our executive producer sitting behind the cameras? You had some good questions.
Very good question.
That's pretty good. All right. Thank you for watching, everybody. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Bye.